Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the City Council meeting to order. Will you please stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll go right into roll call. Councilman Loy.
Here.
Councilwoman Kesty.
Present.
Councilwoman Diamond.
Present.
Councilman Henderson.
Here.
Councilman Cock.
Present.
Councilman Burns.
Present.
Councilman Lavaka.
Here.
All right, welcome everybody. Looking for an approval of the agenda. Do I have an approval?
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Okay. Was that Mr. Cock for second?
No, it
was
was Nick.
Okay. So we have a motion by Councilman Henderson, seconded by Councilman Lavaka. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 4 from the consent agenda,
Okay. All right.
and then I will motion to approve the rest.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. So let's move forward with the approval of the consent agenda minus item number 4. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Item number 4, ordinance 209625, parking and loading. Will that be you, Tom? Your question?
Okay. So I went through the summary information on this, and it didn't make any reference to the changes for the R15 studio to 1.5, or the parking reduction, or the deletion of loading zones from this ordinance, or the use of a bedroom needs to be identified per the International Building Code. And then we also had, requested for this to be put into our September workshop by motion at the last meeting, I believe,
For
discussion for this ordinance for the September meeting. I was just wondering if any of those got changed, or where this ordinance was between the last time we touched it.
Yeah, it's my understanding everything did change except for there was a request to shorten the length of driveway from 25 feet to 20 feet, but we kept it at 25. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, that's in our code already, and throughout different parts of our code, so it's consistent with our code. Also, in consideration of larger vehicles that seem to be kind of a trend right now. We do have incidences around town where people are parking their vehicles in the driveway and it's hanging over onto the sidewalks. And you probably have seen that downtown where they're putting a wheel up on the sidewalk. And then third, for vehicles that are shorter, it allows that person to get enough space to get, if they have to get something out of the back or the trunk or whatever, they're doing that without actually getting into the sidewalk. So we kept that for those reasons. As far as everything else, I think everything else was changed. Yeah. So I'm not sure what version you're looking at.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar to me either. Kelly, did they make a motion to discuss this in September? Was there a motion approval?
Yes, there was, Madam Mayor.
There-
I don't think it was a motion I think it was a motion to table it, and then we were going to discuss it unless time was pressing because of the Olympia bill. But
I
yeah.
remember you wanted to do it with the contractors, but they've already met with the contractors. They've done their due diligence. They put it out there. The only contractor that showed was BYK. So,
The motion included a couple of items, removing the loading zone, and I'm not going to get it right, I had to ask Ashton, the 0.2 to 0.5, and the 20% to 10%, and the 25 feet to 20 feet, and to discuss in a work session with developers.
but was it passed? Because I know that I asked Tom about it, and Tom said they had already done that
Right.
with the contractors.
I'll let Tom answer.
Yeah, all of our meetings, Planning Commission, are publicly announced, and we did hear back from BYK, who did come to our Planning Commission and also met with staff one-on-one. We'd also heard from a representative from the RJ Group, and their questions about it, but there were no concerns. And that's as far as it went. But this has been at the Planning Commission for some time now, back and forth with the folks from BYK. I don't know how much more we could do.
Yes, go ahead.
My concern was just that about meeting with Officer Carr and to see if there was anything about adding teeth so that some of these things that we're implementing can actually, what she was coming from to help her.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to talk to Officer Carr.
Chief?
Yeah, can I speak to that? We did have a meeting with Officer Carr, all of us worked together. What we're dealing with here is Title 17 versus where Laura works in Title 10. None of this has to do with enforcement of what she can do. The only things she can enforce on the off-street parking is handicapped parking, loading zone, which looks like it's going away. But yeah, as far as this, it really has no impact on her enforcement and nothing to do with that. Cleared that with Nikki as well. We don't need to make any changes with our ordinance as far as enforcement. And she does her job based on the need. Yeah.
That answer.
Does that help?
Okay.
Councilman LaVaca?
To say? I was going to say, unless Councilman Henderson's not finished.
Go ahead, Councilman LaVaca.
So I actually met with Tom today and also Exton and was able to kind of go over this because I was surprised to see it in our consent agenda as well and to see so many, we did make some of the changes, but I was under the impression we were going to have some discussion in a September meeting when we were able to, as a council, kind of talk about Exhibit B or other concerns that may have came up. I did get a lot of my questions answered, but it was something where I thought we were going to, Councilman Kesty actually put forth the idea of having a discussion and a workshop about this, and so it was a pretty hot topic.
My understanding, and I'm sorry if I misunderstood, but is that the workshop wouldn't be happening for another 3 months. And in that time, we wouldn't be taking any action on this, and we've got a development community that would be just sitting there waiting and wondering, so that was my concern with it.
Councilman Henderson?
All right, so if you talk to all the developers, that's fine. I don't feel the need to talk to them again, because I've already talked to several of them too. As long as these were added, I didn't see those in the summary, that those changes were made between last meeting and this meeting. And usually, I would just comb the summary to make sure, so that's why I wanted to double check before we voted on it. So, and I'm fine with passing it tonight.
Did you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to pass ordinance number 2096-25, amending Title 17, Sedro-Woolley Municipal Code for off-street parking and loading.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a first and a second for item 4 on the consent agenda. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Moving into city administrator report, Charlie.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Council, no report this evening.
All right, thank you. Council report, Councilman Lloyd.
Yesterday, we had our meeting for our skateboard challenge. We had 9 people show up, working on getting everything going, and it's fallen all into place, and it should be a rip-roar on August 16th. So we're back at it again. This afternoon, we had a public safety meeting, which was me and Paul and Nick, and the fire chief and police chief each gave us reports on personnel and equipment and different things. It was quite fascinating, and it was well worth our time.
All right, thank you. Councilwoman Kesty.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Diamond.
Nothing this evening, thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Councilman Henderson.
All
All right, thank you. We got a big week coming up with the 4th of July coming. Really excited. Looking forward to all the good stuff going on there. We're always proud of the police and fire and public works for all the work that you guys do to make that an awesome production and make everybody totally safe. So enjoy, everybody.
All right, thank you. Councilman Cock?
Yes, I want to echo that with the 4th coming up with police, fire, and staff. I appreciate all the work y'all do in preparing for it and responding to it. And to the public, please be careful with fireworks. We're really dry out there. I think we're in a drought. I'm pretty sure we're in drought status. Also, I was very excited to see all the work going on at Olmsted Park. They're real busy up there, and I look forward to the park continuing to develop. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Burns?
Just want to encourage people to get their applications in for the Log Rodeo Parade. Let's see, I think the 28th is what I found for the cutoff, and we'll be planning it, laying it out after that. So make sure you get them in so that we can get people in a good order. And enjoy your 4th of July. Have a happy, safe 4th.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Lavaca?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Definitely with the public works side of the Lager Rodeo, all the work going in our meeting today, it was discussed that they put about 165 hours of overtime, the police and the fire department, into making sure this runs smoothly. We get so many people into the community, about, there's quite a few thousand that attend and from all around. So it's really amazing what you guys are doing and the amount of overtime that actually goes into that. But a reminder to the council and to the city how important it is to be able to have that funded and be able to enjoy and bring people together. It's just going to be another example of that this weekend. So. The parks that we have been seeing come together, definitely with the Homestead, has been great. There was an incident that happened over there at the Memorial Splash Pad a few weeks ago, and that was unfortunate. It was a slip, and a little girl hurt her head. So just a reminder, be careful, even in the parks. They're a lot of fun, but we're entering into summer. Hopefully we take full advantage of that splash pad, but be careful.
Okay. Just one thing to make you all aware of, because it's going to be happening soon. The changes will be happening soon. Skagit Transit hired contractors to come in and take a look at their routes, trying to make them more efficient and actually try to add more routes, especially those heading up east. They have a plan in place. I was there at the meeting, so was Councilman Burns. We talked about the different routes, and they are eliminating Route 300. They're adding Route 301. Although it doesn't come into as many places within the city, it will definitely make a stop both at the food bank, the senior center, and the library. So those things will still be included. Also with 301, instead of making only 2 runs up to the east side, it'll make anywhere from 4 to 6, depending upon how they can make that work. So something to keep in mind. They'll do this for 6 months to a year. They'll reevaluate, and we'll see how it goes. This is all in an effort to be both efficient and to be more economical. Okay, moving on then to public comment. If you could keep it to 3 minutes. And please give your name and how you're affiliated with the city. So is there anybody for public comment?
I don't, am I on? Sally Carlson, I'm a resident. And boy, was I surprised when I opened my newspaper this week and there's our mayor, which is not the type of publicity I think our city wants or needs. That's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Philip Murray. I went to a city planning meeting, and they started discussing taking out the railroad tracks from Ferry Street to Jameson. Like, how do you could just go in and start tearing out railroad tracks? Does the city own this property? If so, I want to see the documents that says it. This is a public records request. I want to see all the documents, the permissions from the railroad, the the Surface Transportation Board of Commerce. You took them out in front of me, and I talked to Charlie Bush about that, and he's walking away from me and says, we didn't take them out. And here's the picture of you taking them out. Now, that's taxpayers' money, and it's not your property. That property belongs to the adjacent property owners, and you're stealing it. You're trying to steal it just like you tried to steal Eastern Avenue from me. The city library, county library, has no access to Eastern Avenue. You're going across railroad property to do this. I want this traffic to stop. If Eastern Avenue isn't an avenue anymore, it's for me and my neighbor only. It dead ends. And there is no legal access for that library. You're supposed to put in bollards there to stop the traffic going through, and I expect you to do it. I'm sick and tired of this traffic going through there and driving through the railroad properties. Rocks all over the place. It's ridiculous. It's not your property. Don't treat it like it is. Anybody have anything to say? Please, I'd love answers. You never get them. Thank you.
Anybody else, public comment? Okay, with that, I'm going to close public comment, and we'll go on to unfinished business. And Mr. Bullock, okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So this is our second read of the adoption of the Transportation Improvement Program. Last council meeting, I went through a pretty good presentation for it as well. I have Woody pulling up the presentation if there's any specific project that a council member has a question about, so I can talk around it. But every year we adopt a 6-year transportation improvement program, and that's the motion before you today. Part of what I'd like to ask, if there's, by all means, email me whatever, if there's a project that you'd like Public Works to consider to either, if it's important enough to amend the TIP, we can certainly do that, but we can also projects to include on future TIPs as well, because especially this year, as we get done with a number of these projects, that's how you get ideas to float to the top and replace the next couple years out projects, particularly projects that are on the south end of town. I think the TIP pretty well lays out the future network for the north end of town, but projects like Railroad and Jameson intersection, okay? And so there's a few of those types of projects. Mark, when he was here, certainly did quite a few projects in the south of town. For instance, connecting Jameson with Highway 9 was a really big network piece that we put in several years ago. But there's my suspicion is there is more of them, though, that we haven't done yet that may be wise to do. So if there's any ideas you get from citizens, or they can contact me, and I will be developing those as I kind of move on and get more familiarity with things. So for instance, the importance of the railroad Jameson intersection is just like Jones-John Liner is the north-east-west parallel route to Highway 20. Minkler-Jameson to Highway 9 roundabout would be the southern corridor potentially for that. So, so those are things I am interested in. If you have those ideas, please contact me, and then we will work them into the priority as we move on with things. But other than that, did council have any questions for me about the 6-year TIP coming up? And I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Councilman Loy?
Yeah, would you be bringing that up? Would you be the person, or would Thomas be the person? I'd like to start talking about trails and getting
Sure.
things happen.
So I would be one of those people certainly as well, to put because we do have some trails and some actually a fair amount of multimodal and trails on the TIP as well. And yes, the TIP is a proper planning instrument to plan out multimodal paths and trails and things like that as well.
I know 15, 20 years ago, we had a list that long, and the list disappeared somewhere.
Well, no, the list hasn't disappeared. It's still there. And we still have it, especially on the comp plan and the 20-year plan. But it's, have those projects move to a stage where we're considering them for construction on the list. So for instance, we have Cascade Trail Phase 2A and Phase 2B. We have another piece of the Cascade Trail from Metcalf to Township that's on there. Also, most of the road projects now also include bike ped paths and trails as well to continue connecting that network. But certainly if there's something that you haven't seen on the tip, let me know, because I'm still kind of studying the archived projects that, we do have a laundry list of trail projects to do, but these ones appear to be the ones this community has wanted to bring forward in the near term. But by all means, let me know. And
Yeah, the parks, talking with Tom, the parks element is going to have trails within it, and that will be coming at the next council meeting.
right.
So I'm a month too soon.
No, it's not. Well, and most of the trails in the TIP are mainly trails that aren't necessarily on parks, because that's a parks thing. These are mostly trails and bike ped access that relates more to the overall transportation grid.
Thank you.
Councilman Henderson?
Yep, thank you, Mayor. So we have about $1 million per year on the citywide local street improvements, and then you got it all broken down from there.
Correct.
So moving forward with this, is there anything that would stop us from applying for additional grants for projects that we identify, like in the interim?
Not at all, but that $1 million for the street improvement generally is split up between a $200,000 match from our funds and about an $800,000 match from TIB, which we typically get every year. But yeah, there's nothing, again, if there's another project that's going to be more than that and still be a trail or a street improvement program or something, that's where we make it an actual project as opposed to a citywide category.
Okay.
And the citywide categories pretty much are really just strictly overlays as opposed to also constructing sidewalk. And then we'll also do some ADA improvements along those overlays as well. But that's primarily what it's for, as opposed to something like F&S Grade Road, which would be almost a reconstruction, would be actually a project. But certainly if we have an opportunity, well, like last year, that's a good example of those opportunities. Last year, kind of unique for TIB, they came up with, I don't know how much money it was, but anyway, this city took advantage of it. That's why we had scheduled A through G, and we, did 48 ADA ramps instead of 8 ADA ramps. So we always look for those opportunities as well, and bring those forward to council. And if we're going to, be able to tackle something, I want to get the money and do it. I don't want to sit on it and wait, basically.
Thank you.
Councilman Koch?
I may remember this incorrectly, but from my prior service on the Public Works Committee, the Cascade Trail, I guess, that ends at Township and then picks back up through that neighborhood and then ends up in downtown. If my memory serves, that's owned by the railroad, is that right?
I believe so, and it's one of those pieces of right-of-way that the railroad has allowed us, the city, to maintain as a trail, and we also mow the grass on that road as well, or on that right-of-way as well, for a few reasons: fire danger, aesthetics, as well as some other safety considerations to it. So, but that's also not an uncommon practice either. Those capabilities for towns to do that typically lie with the local roadmaster, and if they need it, they can certainly say, hey, we need this for our purposes, and that could be anything from storing material to reactivating a railroad. Typically, and I think the BNSF also has a kind of a rails to trails program thing where you can go, where the jurisdiction can purchase those right-of-ways. Example is the trail that goes all the way past Lyman and all that piece of that rail trail. But currently, yes, the right-of-way title belongs to BNSF, and but we have a project on our 6-year to basically right now it has gravel on it that's not ADA compatible, and we have a project proposed to put an ADA compatible surface on that, which would also include coordinating with the railroad to actually bring that into city jurisdiction instead of theirs.
Well, because I've noticed it's, well-used, and I know this is probably not going to happen, but as an act of good faith, it'd be nice if the railroad just gave us that property, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Okay. Councilman Lavaca?
No, thank you. And thank you for doing all that. I know it's been quite the journey. On once we have approved this, are we going to be able to see those QR links and also have these projects listed on the website? I know that. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. After this is approved by council, we'll replace the current TIP, because we do have a TIP on the website. It's last year's you adopted. Until this is the adopted one, we don't really just change it. And then part of that is we're going to work on part of our outreach, creating some of those QR codes and that type of thing, and putting them in key places, and potentially what I've done before is I've put a copy of our tip in the library, have a QR code link and that type of thing. So that was a great idea, and we're going to start implementing it because it would be a good way to outreach the community that's easy.
Awesome. And we talked pretty extensively about the difficulty of the improvements done on Warner, Talcott, Nelson, on 3rd, 4th Street. Is there a way that we can at least see a budget and start maybe even setting aside funding for that, since it's not necessarily going to be a TIB-funded grant or something that the state will grant or the county will grant because it's inner-city roads?
So, yeah, I talked about this a little bit last time as well, and this is something that, I've been made very aware of that's challenging, and part of the reason why it's challenging is those roads are functionally classified as neighborhood streets as opposed to collectors and arterials, which are pretty much what you have a limit for spending state and federal money on. So one of the things my engineering team is working on is we're working on kind of costs and prices for a spot repair type thing, because it is millions of dollars to pull up concrete and reestablish road beds. But as we do that, we want to maybe propose a program to council and maybe forego our street improvement program for a couple of years, use the local monies that would go into that, build up enough money to actually make some meaningful repairs to the worst parts of those streets, because they're concrete roads, and without going into a long discussion about all the engineering things behind concrete roads and how to fix them. But basically propose those options to council, even identify with white paint where those things are, and maybe even give folks a tour of what we intend to do. And then what that means is that we don't force multiply those funds for a couple of years with TIB money, but we do have a big enough set aside, and maybe even use some of the general fund reserve or whatever, if that's the appropriate thing. But give council a good idea of what the magnitude of the scope would be to repair the worst places, and what some of the, come up with a range, light distress, medium distress, heavy distress. This was going to be to fix all the heavy distress. We could fix this much of the medium distress for this much money, but come up with a plan of some type, and try to pick off at least the low-hanging fruit on those roads. But that is primarily the reason why those roads haven't been improved, is because they're local access roads, and we just don't have the funding to totally fix them. But there are, and you've seen them as well. I think Bennett is one of them, where we have concrete roads where they've attempted to smooth things out by doing an asphalt overlay over the top of them, which in all my years I've done this, it never works. It lasts for about 4 or 5 years, and you get 4 or 5 years of good life out of a paving operation that you should be getting 30 years out of. So it's not even cost effective to do that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to work on some solutions this summer, and then see if we can come up with a reasonable program to make progress on those.
Can I encourage the executive branch and mayor and Charlie to look at, creative ways to set aside money too? Because if we take from TIB, that's 80% funding that we're getting from the state. Mm-hmm. To save 20%, we would lose that exponentially over the few years to save 20% to spend on the neighboring streets. So it's not incredible. I mean, if it's what we have to do, but it would be coming at a great loss. We'd be spending 5 times the amount on that repair than the value of the road repairs we'd have in our community.
Right. And that's, I think, largely why it hasn't been done in the past to a certain extent, because you don't, that's a 5 times order of magnitude. And you still have repairs to do on your collector and arterial system. But again, we're going to work on those options, understand what the effort we need to implement those options, and then come up with at least a short list of recommendations on how we could potentially fund it.
Councilman Koch?
Yeah, I appreciate that the mayor has tried to get the school district to redirect some of those buses around the concrete streets. We heard from a resident, they actually shake the houses. So I just urge the school district again to consider the neighbors and the effect it's having on them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments, do we have a motion? Do we want to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to pass the 6-year TIB Transportation Resolution 1165 TAC 25.
All right.
Seconded.
All right. So we have a motion by Councilman Lavaca, seconded by Councilman Henderson. All those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Next, we have a discussion, and this is the Comprehension Plan Update, Economic Development Element. Mr. Glover.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So this evening, we are presenting you with the first view draft for the Chapter 8 of the Comprehensive Plan, and that's the Economic Development Element. Planning Commission has seen this. We've not had a chance to mark up changes from that meeting yet, but we wanted to get this to you in the interest of time. So tonight with us, we have Donna Kaler online, and she'll go through this with you. So go ahead, Donna.
Thank you, Tom. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me tonight. As we move through our journey with the comprehensive plan, now what you have before you is an element that's already in your existing plan, and we're just in the process of updating it. Thank you, Woody, for bringing this up. Can you move it on to the next slide? So the economic development element, this is a preliminary early draft. The Planning Commission has looked at it. So we just wanted to, I think you've all seen some of the proposed edits. So I'll just kind of go through a highlight of some of the changes, and then at the end, we can have some question and answer and discussion. Next slide, thank you. So this element provides a high-level overview of the economy, not only here in Sedro-Woolley, but also statewide. It's listed as one of the 15 goals in the GMA, and it sets policy direction for economic growth and identifies strategies, programs, and projects to improve the economy here locally. Next. So some of the changes or recommendations to note, they're in the memo I sent you, but I'll quickly go over a few of them. The vision statement that was in the 2016 plan that was very long and broken up into parts, we'll take the economic development portion of that and put it at the beginning of this chapter. We introduced a concept of the transitional mixed commercial overlay area into a permanent zoning district. And added new policies for promoting the city's downtown, including placemaking and developing an activation plan and other features. Next slide. We also pulled some of the priorities from the 2024 EDAP, Economic Development Action Plan, which you'll see in page 253, and inserted them into this element. We added policies bolstering industrial light manufacturing and commercial development in areas that are appropriately designated for such uses, and added language noting new development regulations are underway on battery storage sites based on the moratorium that you passed last year. Next. Also incorporated policies on, again, focusing on downtown and physical improvements and enhancement opportunities. Added language on transportation and multimodal policies. And on that note, I just want to jump off here for a sec. We were discussing trails a few minutes ago, that the transportation element is now required to have a multimodal piece to it. So not only is that element required to provide level of service standards for roads, but now required to have level of service standards for trails. So I think you saw that when you saw the presentation on the transportation plan. We also bolstered policies on providing economic diversification and a broader range of higher income opportunities within the city, and bolstered policies on the Swift Center. Next slide. And included a policy on promoting innovative use technologies for compliance with the climate element. Added a new goal and policies focusing on downtown improvements, and added initiatives and actions to promote the city's image as a gateway to the Cascades, and new goals and policies on enhancing the Sedro-Woolley's business-friendly environment. Next slide. And I think that's it. I know, hopefully you had a chance to review the document, had a lot of edits in it. And once it's all cleaned up, it'll be easier to read. I apologize for that. So do you have any questions at this point?
That's a great presentation, Donna. And yes, Councilman Cook?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the pages right in front of me, but from the long version, there were a couple of, I think they were old facts, like it mentions, let me see, that under, I think, the Swift Center, it mentions Pioneer Human Services. That facility is no longer in existence. It's now being replaced by the Star Center on Highway 20. So
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
That should be fixed. And I'm just going to get on my soapbox for a minute on the Swift Center. That, especially with Job Corps being so precarious, I really hope that the port will come in and really work on developing some business and then employment there. The other thing was, and I don't know this for a fact, but under industrial, it talked about State Highway 20 at Fruitdale. It says perfume manufacturer next to Janicki. I think Janicki owns that facility now, so that's not accurate.
It was a pot growing place before.
So those are just two tiny changes in the economic development. Thank you very much.
There's also a chart there on major industrial employers, and we're updating that too. We realize that's out of date. We were working on that today, and Fazit has some other ideas about how to update that as well. So when you see stuff like that, please forward that to us. You guys know your city better than I do, so I'm happy to hear it and take your recommendations.
And there was also something about a mention over on, also near Northern State, of the fairgrounds moving there. Is that a pretty early thing? We had discussion on that, or is that just?
It's something actually that the county has tossed back and forth. We have had discussion with the county regarding that. It's nothing that has been placed into stone yet. It really pivots on where the I just lost it. Where the Skagit.
Upper Skagit.
Well, no, where they have their.
Skagit County Fairgrounds.
Yes, thank you.
Skagit
Where they
County.
have that. They are talking about doing housing there. Mount Vernon is. I don't know if they're still going to do that or not, but they feel that that's a more appropriate place for that. So that was kind of the discussion. So there's been nothing set in stone. They would need a place then, of course, to put the fairgrounds. For a long time, they've talked about putting the fairgrounds up there. It just hasn't happened. But yeah, it's been a discussion, but nothing set in stone at all.
I would think the Upper Skagit should be included in that, since that's their main road.
Yeah, I believe they are.
Okay.
Yeah. We always have tried to include them.
I just wonder if it'd be interesting if there's enough space. I'm just curious about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, like I said, though, it's been talk. Nothing has been moved. Yeah. Councilman Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thanks for putting this together. Yeah, read really good for what we have going on with the economic growth. I mean, that's really our intent, what we want to do. I did notice a couple of things in there that I'll just email over that were similar to what Paul was mentioning with fact check. They mentioned a food production facility in Skagit. I'm not sure which one they're talking about with that, or for producing food here or in the, not Skagit, in the Sealing Complex or the industrial zone. Yeah, it was interesting. And then also, yeah, okay. Also, it mentions that the government jobs are the #1 jobs that we have in our community, mainly with the school district teachers and then obviously the city officials. And I thought that was interesting because it's one of the things that it would be nice to transfer that over to where it's not #1. Because what people don't know is that's all paid for by taxes. So all the other people that are employed are paying for the ones that are tax-funded employees. So we really don't want that to be the #1 employer in the community. We'd like to see some other businesses come in, industries, retail, whichever, and see that shrink down. So encouraging that kind of growth. I would like to see E.2.18 removed on that. My computer password I had to change out, so it's closed down. But I would like to, maybe you can pull that up really quick and show that. It's in the packet.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. I've got it here. Or what did you want to pull that up?
Does anybody have a page number for me?
It's in the one, I want to say the
258.
258. Is it 258?
It's 258 in the document I
Not in our
provided, but I'm not
packet.
sure.
I think in our packet, it's like 117 or something. Is that right? 118. My computer's closed, so I don't have it in front of me. I'm just going off memory.
I'm happy to read it.
Yeah. Can you go up a
Let's
little
see,
bit
you're
more,
almost
Woody?
there, Woody.
Yep, you're just
right, keep
below it.
going.
You're at 211.
Keep going down to 218. There you go.
All right, so that says promote the decarbonization and innovation, use technology to conduct business, and prioritize energy efficiency and electrification of new development and redevelopment. I think that kind of starts to put some restrictions onto business growth, and I don't really see how that's applicable to us developing our community. If it seems like it's something that's beneficial for the business, I don't think any business is going to just like blatantly like destroy the environment or throw things in the river or not go with most efficient technology. If I buy a new stove or something, I'm going to find the one that has the Energy Star that saves the most money each year, not the one that is maybe the most energy efficient for the climate. I mean, how my mind works. So I think if it's sound and definitely profitable, people will naturally do it, and they're naturally going to want to protect the Sedro-Woolley environment. So it seems a little bit restrictive to me. That would be my smell to the council to remove it.
All right. If there is no more
I have a
discussion,
question, Mayor.
oh, go ahead.
Based on the policy E218, wouldn't that be part of the climate element and not the economic development? What Councilman LaVaca just read about the decarbonization and innovative use of technology, wouldn't that be in the other element of the comp plan, or a more appropriate place for it?
I can answer that. So the new requirements under GMA with the climate element require that other elements have at least one climate-related policy. And so you'll note that some of the other elements will have one or two climate-related ones as well. This one was a recommendation from Kimberly Horn, who's our sub, who worked to help achieve GHG emissions reduction. However, we haven't included it in the draft implementation plan, so we could take it out or replace it with something else. And if we did that, we'd have to take it out of the workbook as well, the climate workbook that we worked on.
Well, I have an idea so I see the word encourage on the other two. What would be the difference between encouraging and promoting? Promoting to me sounds like we're offering some kind of an incentive as the city. Would the word encourage instead of promote be better? Because, we can say, please don't pollute the environment. Please don't do this. what's the differentiation between those two words as far as this comp plan goes?
I think that's a good description. I think we can change it to encourage.
That's all I have.
Yeah,
Councilman Cock?
I like that change to encourage too. I think it solves the issue and it encourages people to do the right thing, but it doesn't mandate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there are no other comments, then I would imagine Donna and Tom, these are good suggestions to put forward and to explore. Okay.
Yes, good suggestions, and thanks for the change there in the language. We'll catch that. And also, Donna, Charlie reminds me on that one, oops, I just lost it, where we say promote, we're going to say encourage, but it should be the use of, oh, he's got it right here. Let's see, innovative use, innovative, wait a minute, now I'm reading it. Oh, there it is, innovative use of technology to conduct
And
business.
technology, yes, good
Yeah,
catch.
yeah,
Thank
there
you,
you go.
Charlie. Yeah, in fact, I'll fix that right now as we're talking.
Thank you.
Just added it, yeah.
And
And I'll
then-
make the other change as well.
Just again, council, if you guys, when you go through this, see other stuff that needs correcting or have questions, please let me know, and we're happy to hear from you.
All right, with that, we're going to move on to item O. It's an executive session. It's a discussion to consider the minimum price at which real estate will be offered for sale or lease. It's item RCW 4231-110-1C. And Nikki, are you on tonight? And if so, how long will we need?
This is actually Bill's show for the most part, so I'd say 10 minutes.
10
but
minutes,
I
okay.
could be wrong.
Okay. All right, so it's 6:46 and we'll be back at 6:56. right, it is 6:57. We are back, kind of, sort of. Okay, so the next council meeting and Public Works Committee meeting is going to be July 9th. Public Works Committee meeting at 5, council meeting at 6. Everybody have a safe and wonderful 4th, and we'll see you back here in July. We are adjourned.